Welcome to the Note to Self podcast. I'm your host, Zoe. I'm a certified professional life coach, serial entrepreneur, verified YouTuber, and published author. On this podcast, you can expect actionable tips, reflections, and inspiration to live your best, most fulfilling life. So, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Note to Self. Today's Note to Self is 5 tips for strengthening your intuition. And shout out to our intuitions, our superpowers, our internal compasses that are always guiding us towards our highest timeline. Absolutely incredible that each and every single one of us has an intuition that is ultimately like a bestie that you can always lean on, that you can always call in, that you have the ability to strengthen and create such a beautiful partnership with in this life. So, here are 5 tips today, actionable tips that will help you strengthen your intuition and can help you to tap into some serious psychic abilities. For me personally, these 5 have been total game changers, and that's why I'm bringing them to you today because in just the past 3 years, I would say, of being a life coach and going through the IPEC training program, which is deeply spiritual and really all about intuition for the most part, intuition and energy. I have just been so pleasantly surprised with myself and how I can receive messages for myself in the guidance of this path and where I'm going. And then also, I receive, or the way that I suppose I coach is solely intuitive. Like, if I'm just being quite honest, when I enter into that container, I'm just opening up a channel and I'm allowing my intuition to take the lead and guide the session. It's like my higher coach. That's what we call it in IPEC, anyways. So, here are 5 tips that I have for strengthening your intuition because we are all capable of having these abilities. I just also want to plant that seed is that if you feel like you are not intuitive at all, it's only a matter of time. If you're intending for it, if you're listening to this podcast, all of this is just a part of your bridge of incidents and having that come to be. So, tip number 1 is to recognize where your intuitive hits, downloads, nudges, etc., are coming from within your energy body. So, for me personally, they come from the right upper backside of my head. And knowing this and becoming familiar with this has helped me to differentiate which is ego and which is soul, higher self, coach, guides coming through, source energy coming through. So, if you're at the beginning of your journey, this might actually be difficult to pinpoint at first, but just stay open to it. The next time you feel like, oh, I'm feeling a vibe or I'm receiving a download or some type of information, just take a moment to scan your body and feel where that feels like it's coming from. And in that, each time that you receive one, give a little bit more attention and naturally flow energy towards that place in your body, and the channel will strengthen. The next tip I have, tip number 2, is to validate yourself before the matrix does. Write your intuitive downloads down or even tell people about them who you're close with, who you can trust. It might feel uncomfortable at first, acknowledging this newfound superpower that you have and learning to trust yourself in these ways, learning to trust in the unseen ultimately. But soon you'll find that more and more of these messages come to be. And what I've found in my journey is that the more and more that I acknowledge the superpower, the stronger it gets. It's like my intuition loves it when I give it attention. So I give it all the attention. And of course, if you are sharing with other people, one thing that I want to say is naturally ask for their permission. If you've received some type of download or intuitive reflection for them, be sure it's coming from the right space within you, and then ask, like, may I share, or do I have permission to share with you something that I'm receiving? And then, of course, always let the person know that they can let it go if it just doesn't stick. And you don't have to remain attached to that either. Tip number 3 that I have is to take care of the asset that is your body. Give your body lots of water, movement, healthy foods, meditate. This one is quite obvious, but there's just so much power in being intentional and treating our bodies intentionally with love, because this is not just physical work in the body, it's also energy work. Each time that you offer yourself hydration, that you offer yourself movement from a place of love, that you feed yourself with high vibrating foods and you meditate, you're tending to your energy body, you're tending to your vibration, and ultimately that allows for a much stronger channel, a much more of a capacity to receive messages and information from guides, source, your higher self. Tip number 4 is to intend for a clear channel, coming off of tip number 3 for sure. So intend for that clear channel, keep it clear. But what I mean by this is that keep intending for the clear channel, and yes, you will have some things that need to be released in order to create more clarity for that field. So you're going to feel emotions come up, and these emotions are showing up so that you can heal them, right? We need to feel our emotions to heal them. And feeling our emotions allows them to release from the body, again, creating more spaciousness, creating more capacity for source energy and downloads. And it ultimately regulates the nervous system, right? It heals our nervous system from fight or flight. And I'm sure that those of you who are listening to this podcast can resonate with that feeling that is fight or flight. So you have felt that before, you do understand like what that feels like in your body. And the more that we feel our emotions, even as uncomfortable, as scary as they can be sometimes, each time that we do that, we're actually liberating ourselves, we're actually healing the nervous system, and we are actually clearing the channel, which is so powerful. So just another reason to feel the emotions and don't fear them. I mean, I know sometimes they are scary, but you can do it. And the last tip that I have today, tip number 5, is plant allies. So for me personally, different plant medicines such as sanunga and hape have been huge for lifting the veils, decalcifying the pineal gland, and ultimately remembering my true power. So sanunga is a plant medicine that is actually administered through the eyes. It is often used as a precursor to ayahuasca ceremonies, and I serve it prior to Kambo ceremonies. And Sanunga being administered through the eyes, it decalcifies the pineal gland and it lifts the veils spiritually. So it actually allows you to see into your life more clearly and to naturally see more clearly, more defined. For me, I have done multiple Sanunga dietas. These are 21 days in a row of administering this plant medicine to myself, feeling the discomfort and allowing the release of energy to happen. And each time that I have done this, my life looks completely different on the other side. I have a couple of YouTube videos, which I'll link below, that will be complementary to this. And if you are interested in Sanunga or Hape, I have a promo code for Four Visions Market where I source these things from, which I will leave down below for you too. And Hape is a very grounding plant medicine. This is one that's administered through the nose. I have a couple YouTube videos on that too, so I'll leave it down below if you're feeling called to explore a little bit more. But with Hape, I found is that it literally blows out the ego. So it just like blows out the ego. And I personally can drop into a deep meditation where I'm connected to my higher self much faster, right? And the more and more that I've sat with this plant medicine over time and built a powerful relationship with it through reverence and love and getting to know it, it has been such a powerful tool in, like I said, remembering my true power. So definitely recommend both of these if you feel the call. And if you're willing to explore more, I'll have those links for you down below. But definitely save this episode for later or send it to someone who is working on strengthening their intuition. The more and more that we can do this and live a conscious, guided life, the more supported we feel. And when we feel supported, we feel unstoppable. So, sending you all the love and wishing you just the most beautifully aligned day ahead. I'll see you or talk to you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to Note to Self. If you enjoyed this episode, please help me out by rating and reviewing this show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If my energy is resonating with you and you feel the call to work with me, there are an abundance of ways to do so. I offer one-to-one life coaching programs, mastermind containers, and DIY courses, all of which are available through my website, zoearielpoulsen.com. Until next time, take note of all the abundance that surrounds you as you make the most of this game called life.